Hello Libra, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Queen of Swords. This is a card that is trying to be very distant from how we feel, right? But not in a disconnected, trying not to pay attention, just trying to ignore what I feel kind of way, right? This is a card, an energy that shows that we are taking a step back from a feeling in order to look at it, in order to be honest about what it is, why I feel it, and to sort of see its place in the larger picture. Okay? So there's something going on, I think, that you are trying to get a better look at. Okay? In order to see maybe its significance or its insignificance. See how it relates to your past, your present, and your future. Okay? But to also try to tap into the intuition that'll tell you, like, is this feeling legit? Or is this, is this something that I should probably override in some way? Or what is this feeling telling me? And how do I need it? I mean, are we seeing red flags? Are we getting an intuition, a kind of gut feeling about something? Something doesn't feel quite right. We need a little bit of context for this card, don't we? We have a Prince of Wands. Could be a Leo person in your life. Okay. A Six of Pentacles. There's that Empress energy. We have a Nine of Swords. Yeah, that's kind of it. And a Five of Pentacles. So it seems like you're having, you're trying to take a look at a relationship, I feel like. Okay? It may not be a Leo person. They may or may not be a fire sign person. I feel like it maybe is somebody a little bit younger than you, maybe a younger male energy. But at least in the terms of the dynamic, it feels almost as if this is somebody in your life that you are feeling like you have to take care of. We got the Empress, we got this kind of mom vibe with them, right? It's not gender specific, but it kind of feels like we're the parent. And maybe we're wondering, should we be? I mean, if this is a coworker, we shouldn't really be in that kind of dynamic with them, right? So it kind of feels like somebody is kind of persistently drawing energy from you, okay? And we see that with the Prince of Wands, sort of, slowly but consistently draining money, maybe money, or energy off of that maternal Empress sort of energy, okay? Over here we have a Knight of Pentacles, a Seven of Pentacles, Two of Swords, but a Nine of Cups. Your decision is going to, whatever decision you make, we're either going to keep the Nine of Swords or we're going to get the Nine of Cups. You have the choice to flip this, right? I love the Nine of Swords in a way because we realize once we see the Nine of Swords is there, we can say, okay, how do I turn this into a Nine of Cups? How do I turn this suffering, right, into happiness and joy? This is sorrow on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. This is like the worst of the worst, right? And rather than having this looming above us as maybe an inevitability, we start making some difficult choices now that are going to put us on the path toward happiness. This is abundance on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. We're exactly flipping the script, right? It's a complete 180. But this is not necessarily present in your life right now. I feel like this is your fear. Okay, this is what you feel to be looming over you. Your dynamic with someone. Okay, it feels like, it kind of feels like a parent to child dynamic, even though I don't feel like it's actually your is actually your child. I mean, it could be. But I do feel that there is a parent-child dynamic somewhere in your life. It feels that way. And I think that you are realizing that this isn't, that this is a kind of a painful situation for you. That to do nothing, I think, would allow this Nine of Swords to rain in on you. Okay? I think it would, it's kind of like the roof is caving in here. You need to get moving to get out of there. Okay. Let's select the mystery card. Bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here with Dwight K. Schrute right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments down below. Okay. Now, as we look around the room, we really only see the one major arcana energy, and that's it. So Spirit's trying to ask you with this major arcana, what are you giving into this situation? What are you putting in? Right? What are you taking care of? Are you the one that's sort of, mothering everybody or taking care of everybody or this particular person? Are you giving, and what are you getting back? I think what we're getting back right now, we're expecting to get back misery, right? Sorrow on every plane, in every dimension. Because the Empress is asking, what are we taking care of in our lives, and why? Do we feel a responsibility to a responsibility for everybody's well-being? But what about our own, right? Are we exerting so much of our force and spending so much of our time, effort, energy, and or money on somebody else that we're neglecting our own needs? Okay, this is the selfless mother energy, right? That will give and give and give and give to their own detriment. Okay, this is any parent or really anybody in life who is willing to suffer and sacrifice for who they love, right? For their children or their family, their friends, or for their world. We know examples of that kind of energy. But the question on your mind right now, I think, is, should I be? Should I be doing this? Maybe you have been for quite some time, and we're seeing that it doesn't look like it's going to get much better for you if things continue the way they are, especially with this Prince of Wands. Now, maybe this isn't a specific person, they may or may not be a fire sign person, but this is kind of a card that says consistency. Things keep going on. This is a habit now, right? This is something that's going on for a long time, and it's consistent. There's a lot of perseverance here. Sometimes perseverance is not always a good thing. If we are continuing to endure something that we're no longer seeing the benefits of, or maybe we feel as if this is like a bad habit that we've gotten into. We've set up this weird kind of relationship that has just now become normal. And, anyway, we've got fire, we've got water, we've got air and air, we've got earth, well, little air here too. We've got earth, 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 and earth. So I think some things need to change on the physical plane for you. And maybe it's about closing the tap off a little bit as far as the money goes or something like this. But maybe this is somebody that's staying with you. Maybe this is something at work, because there's this predominance of the earth energy here. So it could be something that's taking place at work. It could have something to do with money. It could have something to do with your physical well-being. Maybe you just you aren't feeling good physically, right? And maybe this is kind of saying that, look, if things continue the way they're going, I'm going to continue to not feel good, okay? End up feeling worse. So we could translate this to really any situation, but I do feel that there's a dynamic with someone that is starting to feel that we're kind of neglecting our own needs because we're putting too much into somebody else, okay? Maybe the Six of Pentacles underneath the surface here is the ideal in a way. It's kind of like this image of perfection, this image of something is just perfectly in balance, perfectly in harmony. This is maybe if we're talking about the health stuff, right? Now, this isn't a medical reading, obviously. But this could be the 6 pillars of our health and well-being. You know, it's intentional eating, intentional movement, adequate sleep, stress reduction, substance management, and interpersonal relationships. Maybe one or more of these pillars need help, need work. Okay? Because when one isn't strong enough, it's like the weakest link. The other, it's only, you know, everything's going to come crashing down if one of those is out of balance. And I think that's why we've got a 5 of Pentacles in the future position. Things need to change. Something needs to be addressed. This is the kind of, you know, you stubbed your toe. The 5 of Pentacles is saying it hurts, but you got to look at it. And you got to address it. If your little pinky toe isn't working right, or hurts, or has a wound, it's going to throw your whole gait off. It's going to throw your whole body balance off. Okay. So I feel like this is a relationship with a person or many people, probably one in particular, that's starting to have more effects on you than you realize. Okay. And the 9 of Swords up top is, it's kind of, in a way, it feels like, well, this is just how it is. You know, it makes me feel like this is the habit, this is the pattern that we've set up, and there's really nothing we can do about it. That this just I have to accept this as my fate now. Okay. And I don't believe that's true. I believe with the 5 of Pentacles, we can change. We can change the situation. We can restore the pillars of our own sort of sanctity here with the 6 of Pentacles, but it's going to require change. It's going to require that we look at the 9 of Swords and we use this as an impetus toward change. Sometimes this is the value of despair, right? That we kind of feel like this is, you know, this is something that's so bad in potential. I don't think like the worst is here or anything. But I feel like you can kind of see this looming. It's almost like a black cloud, and maybe it just feels like it's going to rain, there's nothing I can do. Well, we can go to a shinier, sunnier place, you know. If the roof is caving in, we don't just have to sit still and wait for it to happen. Okay? We can start taking some sort of actions now. And I feel like that 5 of Pentacles is us realizing that we don't have to be underneath this and just wait for the hammer to fall. We can start taking action now. We can make some changes. The only way to change bad habits is to replace them with good habits. Even if those good habits are difficult. You know, in the physical realm, you know, we replace the bad habits with something challenging like, you know, going to the gym or the intentional eating, things like that. I think this has to do with your relationships and how your energy is going into a particular relationship and it's draining you. Okay, so this might be a habit of saying no. This might be a habit of taking time for yourself. This might be a habit of really setting an intention for goals that you want to achieve and making sure that we arrange our life in such a way where we're giving ourselves adequate opportunity to pursue our goals. To take care of ourselves is one thing, but then to have goals beyond that. Okay, I kind of feel as if everything is radiating from this Empress energy. Everything's radiating from, and it could involve, you know, the dynamics could be shifted. This could be you with a relationship with your parent, okay, with maybe a maternal energy in your life. I'm getting a D name for somebody. I don't know who's the D name person. Somebody's got the D initials, yeah. First or last name, probably. So I think we need to set some intentions. And we need to have these short-term goals to say, okay, well, by the end of the week, I kind of want to have this thing in motion, right? Because that's what a 5 is. It's something that's in motion, right? This is change. This is intentional change. And it's not ever easy, right? Because if we're fixed in this pattern already, it's much easier to stay put. It's much easier for something to just continue. Right? It's a lot easier for the car to just drive 65 miles an hour straight down the highway. Slowing down, making turns, taking on-ramps, coming to a stop and starting again costs way more in fuel. Way more. That's why the freeways are so awesome, right? Because you could just go. And there's no stoplights usually. And there's not a lot of twists and turns and braking, unless you're in California, which I was for 35 years. But this is, it takes a lot more effort to change things than it does to stay the same. But sometimes the pain of staying the same is way worse than the difficulty and the challenge of moving forward and changing something. Okay? Now, I feel like you're someone who really appreciates music. I feel like music is an important part of your life. I feel like you listen to songs and they really hit. Like you have these certain songs that just hit you, right? And I think we kind of need a little bit of that. And maybe this is something a lot more innocuous than the way it feels, but it could just be that you're not having adequate time to express yourself or to feel your feelings. Because look, we don't have any water energy until the very end. This is where we're trying to go. Okay? So it kind of feels like the Empress is not getting much joy out of what they're doing. And I believe you are the Empress. So I feel like making some changes here is going to bring more joy, more sensuality, more pleasure into your life, more happiness, more abundance in every dimension rather than sorrow in every dimension. Okay? Because I see the Empress gardening, listening to music, dancing, right? Enjoying time with friends and family, surrounded by pets and plants and people, right? Not in a way that just feels like you're just the pocketbook. You're just the bank, of energy, of money and time and doing everything for everyone else, but not getting the joy out of it. Okay, it means something has to change. And maybe it feels selfish. Maybe we look at a 9 of swords and say, well, that's what it means to be selfless. It means I suffer and everybody else prospers. Okay. And I feel that this is, there's an imbalance here. Okay. Now, Path of the Serpent, we're going to talk about these cards. We have a Knight of Pentacles. And if, by the way, you haven't subscribed yet, please do. These readings are totally free. All right. We're starting with this Knight of Pentacles. This is a card that's looking into the future. Can see who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, long term, down the road. And I think what it sees currently is probably this. Probably this. Well, through change, right? This is what we're doing. We're changing a 9 of Swords into a 9 of Cups. We're change. Okay? So through change, we can have a different vision. Now the Knight of Pentacles can look up there. And yeah, it might be difficult. We might have to start saying no a little bit more. We might have to be a little bit more selfish. We might have to make some intentional time for ourselves. We might have to have the discipline and the self-control to set up positive habits for ourselves to replace the bad habits that we've gotten into. Okay? Whatever they might be, whether this is something that's more in terms of your health and well-being, or if it is related to this relationship dynamic with somebody else. This is a card that sees a different future now. It's kind of like I see a different future for myself, and that's the future that I want to pursue. Okay? We're not saying this is inevitable, this is what I see in my future, and there's no way to get out of that. Sometimes the Prince of Wands is a stuck energy. It's a fixed fire. And fixed kind of means like it's nailed in place, right? It's stuck. It can't go anywhere. It's locked in. It's like you got a self-driving car and it just won't let you change directions, right? Thankfully, we're not there yet. But this is an energy that needs to change because it's too fixed. It's too fixed, and it's burning this fuel. It's locked in this course, and it won't move. Sometimes that's a very good thing. Not when we feel like we're on a collision course with the 9 of Swords. Okay? So what we're doing now is we're realizing that there is a different future for us. It means that we're going to have to take a hard look at those relationships in our lives, and not only relationships with other people or this person, relationship with ourselves. How am I treating me? Have I been neglecting my own needs for too long? This is us looking at what isn't working. Okay? This is a card of failure. Little f failures. This is a card of saying, something, I planted the seeds for something and it didn't grow. Okay? So I feel as if the Empress doesn't like that. The Empress doesn't like to feel as if it tried to grow a garden and nothing came out of the ground, right? So in a way, you're sort of taking the failure personally, because the Empress, right, doesn't want to see any of its children, its plants, its animals, right? It doesn't want to see anything that it cares about or feels responsible for. It doesn't want to see any of those things not thrive. Not thrive. Okay? And so I think what we're really trying to do is get to this balance. This is a 6, perfect balance. 5, imbalance. 7, imbalance. Okay? And we may be more off balance right now than we realize. So that's why we've got to look at the 7 to say, okay, something isn't working, but I love myself enough to not give up, to not quit, to address certain things, heal certain things, improve certain things. Improve the relationship. I'm not telling you got to leave this person or excommunicate them or get rid of them, block them, cut them off. No. I'm saying that we need to identify the problem, realize that the habit that we have with this person is not healthy for us anymore, and start to make different choices. Make those different choices on a consistent basis. If we always do what we've always did, this is what's going to happen. If we commit to something else and we make positive choices and we fix that energy, right? We glue ourselves to that path. Then we're making healthy choices, positive choices, and we're going to have the abundance in every dimension, you see. We have to be willing to look at what isn't working in our lives anymore and apply ourselves to fix that part. And the 2 of Swords becomes your decision making. That we can choose to, it's kind of like somebody is always asking you for money. We can choose to always say yes. And every time we say yes, we're reinforcing that pattern, that habit. Or we can start to say something else. We can say yes and, this is the last time, or yes and you got to mow the lawn, or whatever, right? Or we can simply start to say no. You have to trust your intuition on that one. That's why this card has that little crescent moon at the top. Because the choice is here, it's not that there is a clear-cut right and wrong. This is up to you. No one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you what the right answer is. Can only help you to trust in your intuition so that you can make the choices that are going to be best, not only for you, but for the situation as a whole. Okay? And I think you're taking the first step right now by getting this bird's eye view. And you're kind of saying, wow, okay, yeah, I'm kind of looking at the queens always look at the past, right? So it's kind of like you're looking at the history and you're thinking, yeah, there's been a long pattern of something. This is not the first time something's happened, is it? So it's happened so often, you're getting that realization, you're thinking, okay, if something has happened once in the universe, it's more likely to happen again. If it's already happened 100 times with somebody, it's guaranteed to continue happening. Practically guaranteed. And so having that kind of hindsight to think, wow, okay, this has already been going on quite a while. And this is something that's happened already many times. It's already been a habit repeating itself. So we need to make different choices. And those different choices should be aimed at abundance, love, satisfaction, okay, fulfillment, and joy, really, jubilation on every plane. Physical, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative. You're making choices that are in your best interest. Is that selfish? I don't know. By definition, I guess it is, right? But maybe that's what you need right now, is to be a little bit selfish, okay? To prioritize your needs sometimes, even if that means saying no to somebody else. Even if that means you're going to have to deal with some anger or wrath from another person. And maybe that's just it with the 9 of Swords too. Maybe we feel like we can't say no. We can't say it kind of feels like if we deviate from this fixed fire intention, this course that we're on, it feels like we're going to get the wrath, But again, it seems like staying the same, continuing on this course, is going to be a lot worse for you in the long run than making those difficult choices now and begin the work of converting the Nine of Swords to the Nine of Cups. Begin the work. It's not going to happen overnight. But there are blessings here. And that Nine of Cups is the biggest blessing of the universe. It is true happiness, right? Rather than accepting suffering and misery, we're now pursuing happiness. We're pursuing these miracles and blessings in our lives, okay? Let's look at the mystery card. I want it to be Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. Maybe another Empress card. 10 of Cups. Maybe a 6 of Cups. I think some good water energy would be welcomed here. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. Another Nine of Swords. Sometimes the Nine of Swords, especially since we got it twice now, okay? So kind of, first of all, it feels like it's the double meaning, right? It's kind of like, this is what I expect in the long term. This is also what I feel like is going to happen if I don't keep doing what I'm doing. Like, it's kind of like we're afraid of like upsetting the other person. We're afraid of making a change because of how other people will react, okay? I feel like this particular Nine of Swords, it looks like the blanket right here. The blanket reminds me of the Empress energy, and it's the Empress of the Rider-Waite deck, so it doesn't look like this Empress, but it's the blanket of the Empress, okay? So it kind of feels like we're waking up from something here. I feel like this card is, rather than us losing sleep and feeling the misery and, in this realm of suffering or expecting this, anticipating this suffering, right? I feel like this is us waking up from a nightmare. This is us waking up from something and yeah, we don't feel good that, oh God, I've been living that way for so long. Like, gosh, when I finally stopped drinking alcohol, right? It's like I woke up one day and I looked back over my life and I said, gosh, I can't believe I wasted so many years just drinking and drinking and drinking, right? And so there's a little bit of lamentation here because there's regret. It's like, I can't believe that I wasted so much time or I spent so much time doing that. But let this moment be a triumph where we're seeing it and we're realizing what we need to do. Okay, let's not beat ourselves up for decisions we've already made. Let's just start making the good decisions now, okay? So sometimes the card is about like losing sleep and we're in this distress. Sometimes I feel like this card's us waking up from a nightmare, And the next card after this is the 10 of Swords, which to me feels like we're breaking the old patterns altogether. We're shattering them. We're breaking out of the birdcage, right? This is kind of the realization that I've been stuck in a birdcage. Okay? And then the very next step, I believe, through the decision making is going to get you out of this situation and onto a better one. Okay? So I think Spirit is really trying to emphasize to you now that this situation is not, the way things are going, the way things are stuck and fixed in motion is not the ideal way for you, is not leading you to your happiness. Okay? It's going to lead to, I think, more of this. So we got to do something. Yeah. That Nine of Cups is there. It's out there for you. It's waiting for you. Okay? So the hidden blessings here, I feel like, are that we can do something about this. We do not have to accept this as the inevitability. We don't have to wait for things to get a little worse. It's kind of like saying, yeah, it's going to double. Right? So let's not wait any longer. There is a sense of urgency here, It's saying like, let's get ready and let's do it. Let's make positive changes in our lives. All right. Now we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link up top and a link down below. New readings for Libra, usually Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is a bonus reading. I feel like kind of needed this right now today, So be sure to watch your other readings. If you want to watch the extended readings on the website, go to doveandserpenttarot.com. You can also find me on Patreon. And go check out my wife's channel. She does tea leaf readings over at Ula Tea Leaf Readings. Marvelous work. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.